Thank you all for joining me on Easter Sunday for a class about aches and discomforts. And I think we're all experts. I mean, everybody on the call today, I kind of personally know some of your trials and tribulations. So thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, I welcome your comments and your questions. And then I always add, like, if I don't know an answer for you, if I don't have an answer for you, we have the books and we have each other, so we'll just help each other out. But this is our handout today. Let's see, there it is. And I think that if somebody new were to come to me and talk to me about aches and discomforts, I would probably recommend the Healthy Habits Kit. I think that this is a great combination of products to inspire people to have a healthier lifestyle. You know, we've talked a lot about how illnesses can be attributed to our lifestyle. Well, the same thing could be said for aches and discomforts. And if you know me, like I know you do, then you know that we've talked about connective tissue ad nauseum. I don't think Linda Oken really knows too much about the MELT method, but we're going to talk a little bit about how the way that you hold your body creates tension in your body that then creates pain and dysfunction and imbalance. So some of the products that are in the kit can actually help to restore a proper immune response. I think that's probably in my opinion, its biggest role in helping support the body get over an injury, whether it was self-induced because of poor body mechanics or having a dog run into you at the dog park and breaking your leg. Right? Yeah, you know how it is. So this kit includes the Lifeline Vitality Pack, Deep Blue Rub, the PB Assist, the Digestive Enzymes Terrazyme, and 5 bottles of essential oils. They're the 5 ml bottles. So they have roughly 80 to 100 drops. It kind of depends on the viscosity of that oil. And you get, see if I can see that there, lavender, frankincense, balance, lemon, and On Guard. So it's just a nice beginner's kit. And then you would add, look at the list. I mean, you can go on and on with these, but these were some of the ones that just kind of came to the top of my mind, things that I knew that were helpful for myself and for others. One of the things that we could also talk about today is your own experiences with essential oils and some of the things that you've done that maybe you'd like to share, because again, I know all of you have had issues. So wintergreen is a great essential oil because, and I have to get my cheat sheet here, because one of its chemical compounds is something called methyl salicylate. Say that one time slow. Methyl salicylate. And that's the same chemical compound that is found in aspirin.
Yeah.
So wintergreen was the inspiration for aspirin. Cool, huh? I know, right? So it's going to be a great pain reliever. Wintergreen is one of those essential oils, though, that you can't take internally. So it's just for topical use. But don't tell Boyd Truman that. If you have ever done the Symphony of the Cells with me before, Boyd Truman is the creator of the Symphony of Cells protocols. And it's a layering of essential oils down the spine, on the feet, and you're exposed to them aromatically. And they work their magic on all kinds of things like inflammation and immune support, but they can also help with a variety of common illnesses and not so common illnesses. And anyway, when he was showing us how to do the AromaTouch technique last September, he had a body laying on the table and he would put the oils down their back. And as he was turning away from all of us sitting in the audience, he'd take the oil and he would drop it into his mouth and he'd say, I know it's not recommended, but I do it. And wintergreen is one of the ones that he takes internally. So I thought that was really interesting to share with you. It does have a child-proof cap on it. Perhaps if you have a little one around, you want to make sure that they don't get into it. But if you wanted to try 1 or 2 drops, you can be like Boyd Truman and see how you feel about it. Let's see, the other one that's on this list is AromaTouch. We talked about that a little bit last week, and I posted a little bit on Facebook about AromaTouch. It's a great combination of essential oils because I find that it's a blend, and I find that it's a blend that relaxes and allows for movement all at the same time. It's a great essential oil if you're dealing with circulatory issues, and you can apply that topically or put it in your diffuser. Lemongrass. If you ever did the reflexology with me, has anybody done that with me? We had one class at Awakens Network and another one at Ball Fitness a while back, and we all sat in a little circle and we did an assessment. So we just kind of thought about how do we feel in our bodies today, what's going on. And I remember Bob Moore, of course, was a cranky shoulder, and I had a knee, and somebody else had a hip. And we looked at a reflexology chart, and we applied several essential oils to the bottoms of our feet that were associated energetically with that area of the body. So as I recall, the shoulder, if you have shoulder pain, it's in line with the pinky toe, just at the knuckle of the pinky toe on the same side of concern. And lemongrass was one of the essential oils that we applied to the bottoms of our feet. So lemongrass, I always remember this because it starts with an L. It's good for ligament pain. So lemongrass and ligament. I don't know if anybody has ever had this problem, but when I broke my leg, maybe Joey, you've had this with your knees, but I got a lot of pain at the back of my knee. Yeah, do you remember, did you have that, Joey?
Oh yeah.
And so I found that lemongrass was great to ease that pain and discomfort at the back of my knee.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very lovely. Siberian fir, I do like Siberian fir, but it is the replacement for white fir. And so I always kind of take that personally, that was my favorite essential oil. And we just were not able to have a good source for that anymore. So the white fir, surprisingly, was also part of that reflexology treatment. And you can put the white fir, and you can layer those oils. So if you want, maybe I can find a reflexology chart and we can take a look at that if you're interested. Helichrysum is an essential oil that helps with nerve regeneration. It's also good for immune support. It's an expensive little essential oil. I thought maybe I should have been a little bit more prepared. Does anybody have any comments about any of the oils that we've talked about so far?
Wendy, wintergreen is in deep blue, isn't it?
I think so.
The wintergreen oil.
I think so. I think you're right.
Right.
I think you're right. Okay, so helichrysum in my emotions book is for pain. Helichrysum is an amazing healer of emotional pain. It aids the walking wounded, those with a history of difficult life circumstances, trauma, self-destruction, loss, or abuse. These individuals need the powerful spiritual support that helichrysum offers. It gives strength and endurance to the wounded soul who must keep on living despite past difficulties. Sounds like what we're all going through, right? Yeah, so that's just part of the emotional aspect of helichrysum. And then H, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Peeling, fusing, and regenerating. Yeah, this is one that's interesting for tinnitus or tinnitus. I don't know how you say it. Anybody else dealing with that? I just came up with that like in February it started. Let's see, wrinkles and stretch marks, sinus and congestion, varicose veins, alcohol addiction, and it is a nerve regenerator, neurotonic, neuroprotective. It's really great also if you have a bruise, like put it on right after you've gotten your bruise and it will help lessen that. Okay, copaiba, we talk about that quite a bit. Copaiba is just a great oil for easing inflammation, and you can take that internally. There's actually a protocol that's listed here on my worksheet. The deep blue polyphenol complex, how many people are taking the deep blue polyphenol? Yeah, 3 of us. This is a great product, I think. I understand that it is not available in the product line right now, but I also heard through the doTERRA grapevine that it's going to be available very soon, so kind of maybe the middle of the month. Polyphenol is what gives fruits and vegetables their bright colors, and they work with a fatty acid. So if you're taking the deep blue polyphenol complex, you could take it with an omega. So hopefully that works for you, Joey. Are you taking the omegas now?
I'm not. No,
You're not.
They bother my stomach.
Oh, that's too bad. What about just doing like a flax seed or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So if you were going to make a smoothie, do you ever put flaxseed in there?
I do.
There you
Yeah.
go. So that's a great way to do it. So maybe just take it after or with your smoothie.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And I don't know what they taste like, but you can even open it up and put it in your smoothie and try it that way.
Oops. Sorry.
That's okay. It happens.
I gotta take this.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. There you go. And then we have the Deep Blue Rub, which of course Tara says is the gateway drug to doTERRA. Such a great product. And I do think that that does have the wintergreen in it. And fractionated coconut oil is on my list, copaiba soft gels. And the turmeric dual chamber capsules. Is anybody taking the dual chamber capsules? Yeah, that's a great one. So this is a really interesting product because they've combined the turmeric essential oil with the curcumin, which is the powdered version of turmeric. And it brings the whole plant chemistry together in one capsule. And so that's what makes it so special. Prior to this, people were taking the powdered version, the curcuminoid, and they were taking it with black pepper to make it more bioavailable for the body, but evidently putting it in a capsule with its own chemistry, with its all total chemistry, really works the best. So down here on the left-hand side of the sheet, I just go ahead and listed a daily support, something that I would recommend for people that are in pain, but I would love to hear what you're doing. I definitely would think that taking the Lifelong Vitality capsules in the morning with breakfast and again in the evening with dinner would probably be one of the best things that you can do for your body, because it's all about reducing the inflammation. And again, there are things that we do, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more once we get through the recipes. There are things that we do that we don't even realize are adding inflammation to our body. 1 to 3 PB assist. So that's going to be for your bacteria in your gut, your microbiome. And that also works with the polyphenols. So that's why the polyphenols are so cool, because they work in your gut. And your gut is actually where that inflammatory response comes from, because it is an immune response. 1 Deep Blue polyphenol, you can take that as needed, or you can take it every day. So if you're dealing with a chronic issue of pain, please forgive me if you've heard this little story before, but I was not really keen on taking the vitamins. I wasn't really one to remember to take them. And I was learning about health coaching. I was taking my certification for health coaching. And I had been dealing with that painful knee ever since I'd broken it. And I was doing my melt method and using my oils topically. And, you know, it felt like I was doing all the right things, but I still had a considerable amount of swelling. And I'd wake up in the morning and I would kind of hobble around because I just couldn't move it very well because of all the swelling, and it was quite painful. And during my health coaching course, we had a lesson on supplements, and this nice man came on the video and he said the only 2 supplements that have been scientifically proven, I'll never forget him saying it, to reduce inflammation are the combination of omega-3s and polyphenols. And I actually stopped the video and I thought, hey, I actually have those things in my cabinet. So I started to take them the next day. I started to take it the next morning. And I think it was a few days later, I just got out of bed and I was like bebopping around the house before I realized that I didn't have any pain in my knee. So I kept taking them for about a week or so. And then I thought, well, the only way that I'm really going to know if this is working is to not take that anymore. So I took myself off of that protocol of the Deep Blue and the omegas, and the pain came back, and so did the swelling. So I was sold. I thought it was great. And I'm giving that to Tinkerbell right now for her knee. She gets 1 omega and 1 polyphenol every day. And then Dr. Hill has made a recommendation for us to take 2 turmeric, the dual chamber capsules in the morning, and the 2 copaiba soft gels in the evening before bed. And he tells us that that also gives us an appropriate inflammatory response. And what that means is we do want some inflammation in the body. We want it to turn on like a switch when you need it. So if you stub your toe on the bed frame or you've eaten something that doesn't agree with you, we do want inflammation to be turned on so that it can address the issue. It's going to help you heal. But what happens for a lot of us is that the inflammation ends up being chronic. And it's really kind of subtle. It could be kind of a low-grade inflammation. You might not even know that you're dealing with it. And that's the basis of our age-related illnesses like strokes and Alzheimer's and heart disease and all that. So if you can manage that inflammation, I think that you'll keep your body healthier for a lot longer. It makes sense, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So for most of us, it's on all the time. So why is it on all the time? Well, it's on because of the kind of footwear that we wear and the way we hold our body when we're working on the computer and things aren't going well. We create a lot of stress and strain in the body. And so we want to be able to turn that inflammation off. And that's what omega-3 do for you. That is an anti-inflammatory, and it turns off that pro-inflammatory that we get from a lot of our foods. Also, omega-6s and omega-9s are pro-inflammatories. A lot of our diet is heavily weighted towards the pro-inflammatories. So if you could cut out those cookies and the processed foods and the sweets, you'd be doing that, your inflammatory response a big favor. It would be a big flavor too. So you want to be able to turn it on and turn it off when you need it and when you don't. How are we doing? Okay? So far, so good? Okay. So then I just put together a few recipes. I mean, there's a bazillion of them. I thought this joint discomfort looked like it would be very effective. I have not tried this one. 2 drops of frankincense, also an anti-inflammatory. There's the lemongrass, the wintergreen, and the eucalyptus, a small amount, a fraction of coconut oil. I think the eucalyptus might drive the other oils in, kind of like peppermint does.
Mm-hmm.
And you can massage those into your hands or your knees, wherever you're having some problems. And then if you were really needing a little extra help, you could put a layer of deep blue on there. I've heard that people just use the frankincense oil and then layer the deep blue, so you could try that. You could use your deep blue essential oil and then layer the deep blue on top of that. So you get the idea, right? You just can go ahead and mix and match. And Kimberly's words, you can't make a mistake, always go into my head. Inflammation reducer, this is also another one. Helichrysum, again, I think if you have some nerve issues, this would be a great one. I didn't put the neuropathy recipe on here, but if anybody wants that, just let me know and I can remember that one. But this is the inflammation reducer, helichrysum, deep blue, and frankincense. Of course, that's the essential oil. And then you can reapply that every 20 to 60 minutes. And this was an interesting side note when I was researching the soothing blend for jaw, knee, and foot pain, which actually could all be coming from the same issue. So as those of us that have done the melt method with me, we know that if we have a misalignment in the pelvis, it can cause a misalignment in the jaw, right? So it's kind of an interesting consideration here. And then a sore muscle soak, I'm sure Julie has some other recipes that she has tried and shared with others, but this is the one that I found, a sore muscle soak. And she's made some beautiful Epsom salt recipes. So how does this one look, Julie? Black pepper, rosemary, ginger, and Epsom salts. Good? Does it look good? I'm gonna unmute you, can I? Can you, there you go.
Yeah, I use rosemary and eucalyptus in mine, and that's really been my favorite.
Oh, good, okay.
I put just 1 drop of peppermint.
So tell us again, 1 drop of peppermint.
And then probably 15 drops. But this is for an 8-ounce jar of Epsom salt mix.
Okay, so cut that in half, right? Because this is a half a cup.
Right, right.
So can you tell me for half a cup how much you would put in there?
I would just do like 4 drops of each.
Oh.
1 of peppermint.
Okay. Okay, good. Nice.
Yeah,
so,
it's a nice soak.
Beautiful. And I don't know if anybody remembers this, but we did, it seems like a long time ago now, at Christmas time, we made stocking stuffers.
Yes.
And we did the Epsom salts in the test tubes. They were so pretty. They were beautiful. If you're going out to Whole Foods at all, you can find that they have the dried botanicals. And they're selling those as a soak. They don't have any salts in them or anything, but you can pick up just a jar of the botanicals and add that to your Epsom salts. And they're so pretty. What you do there is you can get a little, a small little cloth tea bag, if you know what I mean, or even the little paper ones, and you can put your Epsom salt and botanicals into the bag and then put the bag in the tub. That way you're not gonna send those dried botanicals down the drain, okay? So it's kind of a nice way to do it. And they're very pretty with the botanicals in there. And then the last one I have is the swelling reducer. So you can just apply this on areas that need to be attended to. Of course, there's nothing like a good bag of frozen peas to help you with that too. Might be a good idea to do both. So these were some of my recipes, but do you have any suggestions for any other ones that you've tried? Thanks, Julie, for letting us get your Epsom salt recipe, but anybody else? I know you've all dealt with pain before. What are some of your go-tos?
I can't wait to get a massage again.
Oh, I know, I know.
Really nice Swedish massage all over, you know. You could
So
just-
who do you go to for that? Let's give them a plug.
No, I go to, you know, whoever. When I'm in San Francisco, I do a Thai massage, and it's an herbal heat Thai massage, which is just wonderful
Nice.
for an hour.
Nice.
And you mentioned someone that you went to, Wendy, on West 2nd. You said you gave it a really high praise.
There's a few people that I've really enjoyed. Laura Hennings is one of them. She's a pro. She's an Ayurvedic practitioner. And I mean, she was so cute. She's pressing into my abdomen and she presses right on my liver and she goes, oh, somebody's got some, what did she call it? Packed away hostilities or something like that. A little tender. Anyway, I was like, yeah, if you'd stop pressing on it, it'd probably feel a lot better. Okay. So that's Laura, and I like her a lot. We have a woman on our team who I think is pretty great too, and she works at Dolce Vita, which is on Lakeside.
Oh, okay.
Again, her name is Jessica. For the life of me, I can't think of her last name off the top of my head, but I thought she was wonderful. And I was having problems with a shoulder that I just couldn't, nothing I was doing was really fixing it. And she had just come onto the team and I thought, well, what a nice way to get to know her. So I scheduled an appointment with her and I walked out of there, I'm like, whew, man, my shoulders feel great. So she was really good. So if you are interested in her number, I'd be happy to give that to you.
Great.
And we have another woman on the team. What's her name? Julie Carroll, Stacy.
Carol.
Yeah. And she's great. She's really great. And she unfortunately does it out of her home. So I'm sure she's not taking anybody. Well, nobody is, but
No.
yeah, nobody's taking anybody. But she's a really lovely massage therapist and very reasonably priced because she's in her home. So if you want any of those contacts, please let me know. And I'll
Okay.
along to you when we're able to move around the town.
Well, we can be beyond 6 feet of one another.
Exactly.
We have to have really long arms.
Yeah, exactly. So how's that look to everybody? Seems reasonable. Any questions, concerns, comments, criticisms? Nothing? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop that share and then I can see everybody again. Yeah, it's, I find them good to have myself. I just keep them in a little notebook and pull them out. And sometimes when I make a new handout, I'll go look at my old ones and I'll think, okay, what kind of information can we update? What do we need to change? Just so that we have some fresh ideas. So that's where that all comes from. Okay, so the other things I wanted to talk to you today are also about the way that we hold our body. And, we've all, again, pretty much everybody except for Linda Oken has been in a melt method class before. So you all know what I'm talking about, right? And I thought that I would share a way for you to take care of your feet. So your feet are the base of your foundation, and we often keep our feet locked away in shoes, and it keeps them in the same shape. And we walk on the same surfaces pretty much all the time, right?
Right.
So we're walking across our house or we're walking down the sidewalk, or for a while there, I had quite a few nurses. So Julie, this might resonate with some of your new members that you have. They were wearing the same kind of shoes, walking on that same linoleum surface for hours and hours and hours. and they were getting a lot of foot pain that was ended up being low back pain and neck pain. And if you can give yourself permission to take some time and take care of your feet, then you can maybe get rid of some of these other issues of pain that travel up the kinetic chain. So a lot of people, not you guys, but a lot of people don't have the Melt Method kit. So I looked up Katie Bowman, and she's got that great book, Every Woman's Guide to Foot Pain Relief, and she's got Dynamic Aging, and what's the other one that I'm looking at? Move Your DNA. She's got some really great books, and so if you're interested in reading that kind of stuff, they're fun. She's really, really bright. She's got a lot of great information, and she does a very simple technique with a tennis ball. And I did a little video yesterday with my tennis ball, and today I've got my tune-up ball. So there's all kinds of balls that you can find out there. This is from a company called Yoga Tune-Up, and you can get a couple of these balls in a bag, and these are pretty nice too. The tennis balls are great because they're good shape. Try to find one that's not been collapsed. You know, you want it to be, if you have a dog in your house like Julie and I do, it's hard to find one that's got any integrity anymore. Oh, yeah. So I just thought that I would go through how Katie does it. You've got 33 joints in your foot, and you have over 100 muscles, ligaments, and tendons. And ideally, they're all mobile, they're all moving. But if you're keeping them locked away in shoes all the time, then they're going to be stiff and still. And that is going to come up through the kinetic chain. All right, you ready? I have to do a little hocus pocus to get myself reorganized here in this, which is why I'm sitting in the kitchen. Okay. Oh, now the dog's gonna bark. Okay. All right. So in rehearsals, this worked out great.
It always does.
Yeah, okay. So there's my ball. And just to remind you, what I would do first, actually, before I get too carried away, is I would do an assessment. And I would ask myself how I feel in my feet. So my feet are going to be hip distance apart, just like we do in the Melt Method. And I'm going to stand up nice and tall with my feet right below my hips. Come a little closer. There, now I don't have to stretch toward my screen. And I'm going to notice if I have more body weight on one foot than the other. I'm going to ask myself if I feel like I'm pressing my body weight into my toes. So I'm leaning forward. Or am I back on my heels? I want to notice that. I'm not going to change anything. I just want to notice. I want to notice if I'm on the outside of my feet, which is my personal tendency, or if I'm more towards the inside. And you'll see that people's knees kind of come a little bit closer together often. So the other things you can pay attention to is, do you have your feet pointing straight ahead? Oftentimes when I'm doing the Melt Method with especially new people, right, there's this tendency for people to stand with their toes out. And those people are just looking for a little bit more base of support. And ideally the toes are pointing straight ahead. Ideally the big toe is right in line with the inside edge of your foot. And oftentimes I'll see the big toe kind of feels like it's pulling in towards the second toe. So these are just a few things that you can pay attention to. With this assessment, you could also add a big toe lift. So you could see if you can take your big toes off of the mat. And I have not done this technique yet today. So what I always notice is when I have tight and sticky feet, I can't pick my big toes up. But you'll see through the magic of computer that after I do my little treatment with my big ball, I'll be able to be much more mobile through my toes. And what that means is that I'm much more mobile through my entire kinetic chain. My ankles will have better mobility, my knees, my hips, my low back will feel better. So I'm going to take my big ball and put that right on the floor. And you're welcome to have your hands on whoops. You can have your hands on the counter. Oh, now see, I had this all set up and it was so good. Okay, good. And you can take the ball of the foot right on top of the ball, and you can just hang out here. Just let your foot drape over the ball. If anybody has a ball and you want to join me, you're totally welcome to. And I'm just letting the top of my foot stretch out. Hi, Teague.
Oh, look at her toe.
And I'm just going to hold that there for a moment. A couple of things that I like to do are take my toes and open them out. It's going to spread my toes out. Ideally, there's a space in between your big toe and the second toe. And oftentimes that gets pretty closed in because of pointy shoes. So I'm just going to give it a good little stretch. I'm also feeling a little stretch in my calf. And then I'm just going to systematically move the ball a little bit over to the right side. And in that image, I'm pretty sure you can see the knuckles of my toes rising up to the surface of the skin. That's a great indicator that I don't have any inflammation in my foot. And Sue Hitzman, the creator of the MELT method, would say that you don't have any inflammation in your gut either, which is nice to know. And then I'm just going to move the ball a little deeper into my foot. So I'm coming into, if you've done the MELT method with me, I'm in position number 4. And then I'm going to move right into the center. So it's just a systematic movement, maybe holding it for about 10 seconds. Now I'm right on that tendon that kind of connects the big toe to the heel. And then I'll just move it a little bit lower. And then at some point, I'll just have to pick my heel up and press. So that's position number 5. And then I'm on my heel and I'm just going to give that a little press. And for those of us that do the MELT method, we know that nothing should hurt, right? It shouldn't hurt you when you do this. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to move that back into what we call position number 5. I'm just going to go back and forth, just do that little glide, bring it onto my heel. And then I'm going to go ahead and do friction. So friction is when you move the foot lightly over the ball. And the important part is to let your thighs shake. And that's going to bring the fluids that are up into that were in the foot up into the lines of connective tissue that come up into my legs and ultimately into my spinal column. We call that a global fluid exchange. And then I can just come on back onto my mat and I'm just going to assess how I feel. So here's the foot that I just did, and it just feels so much more relaxed. It actually feels like it's spread open a little bit more. There's more space in between my big toe and the second toe. I'm sure you can see that. And then I can pick that big toe up right off the floor much easier. And I can't really do that on my left side. Can you see that?
Yeah, wow.
So much bigger lift on this side. And so that is just a quickie little, oh, hang on, a quickie little demonstration of a really,
Wendy?
hi, yeah.
When you, what are you saying, melt, M-E-L-T, or are you
Right.
saying milk, M-I-L-K?
I know, it must be something with my accent. It's MELT, M-E-L-T. And it stands for myofascia energetic lengthening technique, but you don't need to remember that. And it's a great way of attending to the body to give you more mobility, more flexibility, better balance and stability. And it's a massage technique. So Barbara was saying how much she misses getting a massage. Well, this technique is essentially a self-massage. And you can ease out any of the dryness that's in the tissue that accumulates as a result of being still or as a result of holding a handbag on your shoulder or a baby on your hip. Hi, Joey got her tennis ball. Good for you. So we have stuck stress in our body. So Linda, if I think about what you do for work, right, you spend a lot of time at the computer and talking on the phone and, you know, your body kind of holds on to that shape during the day. And so when you step away from the computer, your body's still in that shape because your body wants things to be easy and your body wants to be efficient and it wants things to have the path of least resistance. So it maintains that shape because it says, tomorrow she's going to do the same darn thing.
Thank you.
Right. Right. So when you do a technique like the MELT method or that big ball technique that I just did, it changes the shape of the tissues of the body and it can help you find a more neutral alignment for the joints. Does that make sense? So I know, you know, we've got kind of a smaller group today and Kimberly's been a big advocate for the melt method. She used to go to a chiropractor quite a bit. I don't know if anybody else has visited a chiropractor, Joey, but I find that although I have only been to a chiropractor a couple of times, and this was a long time ago, I do feel that knowing how to do the melt method gives you the opportunity to self-care pain on your schedule so that you don't have to wait to make an appointment to see somebody, because who knows,
Yeah.
I mean, how long, I don't know how long it takes. How long does it take? Do they get you in right away, or are they booked up, or I don't know, right? I did do Rolfing. Has anybody done Rolfing before? Yeah, Linda Colton says yes. So Rolfing is very, it's a very deep
Yeah.
work. I don't want to call it a massage because it doesn't really feel like a massage. It's following lines of fascia. What did you say, Linda?
Balancing. That's what I think of it. It's kind of like energy balancing or and muscle balancing, working different spaces. But that's
yeah. And I don't know about your experience, but ouch. Yeah, it really hurts because they go so deep. Afterwards, like, oh my God, I feel so great. And I go, well, is it because she's not pressing into me anymore? I don't know. But anyway, one of the things I noticed when I did the Rolfing was that I could get into a very neutral position lying on the table. And it was about $140 for an hour and a half, something like that. And now that I know how to do the melt method, you know, I can lie on the floor and do my assessment, work with my roller and my balls, and I can be in neutral in 10 minutes, you know, and I just have that same sense of ease that I had when I did the Rolfing. Make sense? On Wednesday, and keep your fingers crossed for this, I am going to be interviewing a chiropractor. And just between us girls, he's absolutely adorable.
Ooh, eye candy.
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, I met him at a BNI networking event, and he just seems so sweet and cute. And I met with him a couple of times. And oh, Steve is there. Sorry, Steve. I didn't know you were waiting. If you're still there. Oh, what was I going to say? So I asked him if he would like to come on to an interview. So I think that's going to happen on Wednesday. So we'll be able to get some of his input on how we can take care of our bodies if you do see a chiropractor and you're not able to see a chiropractor right now.
Oh,
okay.
nice.
What
All
time?
right. That'll be Wednesday at 4 o'clock. That's the plan.
Okay, 4.
Yeah.
Going at 10, my Zoom.
Okay, good. Does anybody have any ideas for other people that they might like to have an interview or have me interview? I have an invitation to a lovely woman that works for Beauty Counter, Kira, talking to us about clean beauty supplies, makeup, and eyeshadows and stuff like that. And then I have a friend who's a Pilates instructor, and she's doing Pilates classes online. I thought it might be kind of fun for her to come on. But if you can think of anybody that would be fun to interview that you think would be relevant for our group, I'd be happy to put them on the spot. See how that works. The other thing is that Barbara and I have met, excuse me, and we've done the melt method together on Fridays at 10:30. I wasn't able to do it this week, but if anybody's interested in doing some melt classes together, we could plan some classes. Does that sound like it would be something that people would like to do? Or yeah, Joey says yeah. All right, so I will issue forth another invitation. And what I was thinking about doing was making it a very reasonable price, and we'll do it for a month. So we'll have 4 Fridays of classes at a reasonable cost. And I thought if you were interested, we could do a little bit of Katie Bowman work. We could do a little bit of Pilates, you know, really whatever suits your body. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on our call today. I'm sorry, Steve, that I don't know how long you were waiting. I just saw that you were listed as a participant waiting. So I'm sorry if you had to wait. I think that's a new thing with Zoom, you know, with their security. So I see you come on and then I have to admit you in.
Let you.
Yeah, so that must be
No problem, Wendy. I actually was waiting about 20, 25 minutes and I figured I'll catch up, but I see you recording it. So maybe you can send me a copy of the session.
You know I will. Everybody gets a recording. So there you go. Thank you, Steve, for joining us. Thanks to everybody for joining us today. If you have any questions for me about how doTERRA can help you, if there's somebody that you know that would be interested in being introduced to doTERRA, Joey's got a couple of friends that we've introduced, and Barbara has her friend Carlene who's going to place an order today. So if there's anybody that needs any of these amazing products, please let me know. I'd be happy to help them get them started. Okay.
That's great, Wendy. When's the next session? Next Sunday again?
Well, what do you think?
Sorry, I missed it all.
Oh no, I think it might have been my fault, Stephen. That's why you were hanging out there waiting for so long. I was busy doing my foot treatment. I don't know. I don't really have a topic for next week. Does anybody have an idea for something that they'd like to talk about? What about allergies, maybe?
Oh, that would be timely.
Joey says yes. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and we'll put something together next Sunday, 4 o'clock. And in the meantime, I'll send out an invitation for people. I might do like a Katie Bowman kind of a workout separately from the melt method, because Katie Bowman stuff, you don't need obviously melt equipment. And for those of us that don't have the rollers and stuff, maybe it would be easier to do it. Okay, I have some figuring out to do, but thank you so much for coming on the call today. Really appreciate it. Have a great night. And I will talk to you.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.